Good morning all. This is Deanna from Deanna's Permaculture Paradise. It's a beautiful morning here out on the prairie of Illinois. You may be able to hear the birds chirping in the background. I love this place. We have so many birds here. I haven't identified them all. I'm working on it. I wanted to give you an update. It's been a while since I gave an update. We've been busy moving in here, getting settled in. We still have boxes everywhere, but I wanted to show you some things that were going on and updates and successes and challenges, and no true failures yet, but I got a lot of new ideas. So one thing I wanted to show is my cucumber castle, is what I'm calling it, for my granddaughters who love to eat cucumbers. So I built this using cattle panels that you can get at a farm store. And you just bend them. Be careful because they're like spring-like. You have to have a couple people holding them or they can spring out on you and make nice rounded hoops. These got a little bent up over time of use at my mom's place, but they still function. So I wanted to show you what the difference is here. I planted, and I put nursery fabric down in between because I wanted to choke out what weeds were here. But I have some friends, they build these just on the soil and then they plant lettuce or onions or other things underneath because lettuce can benefit from the shade of the cucumbers. I started these cucumbers really late, just a few weeks ago. But the concept is that they will grow up and over and hang down underneath so that you can grab the cucumbers and harvest them more easily. I just have these electric fenced posts here holding this up, and it seems to do fine, and it's kind of interwoven in between to kind of hold it up. But I make a slit in the fabric and I put compost in there and I put the seeds in there, and that way you don't have to dig or deal with the weeds that were already here. Like I said, we didn't till, we just put this right on top of the grass that was growing here. Grass and weeds. This side is doing so much better. We have blooms. We have probably some baby cucumbers way down deep in there. I haven't checked in a while. It's been raining, so I'm glad I didn't have to water. I don't water much just to get things established. But this side is looking pretty spindly, and I figured out why. First, I couldn't understand what was going on. When we came over here, very late, just last week I think, planted some tomatoes and peppers, and we were digging through the weedy, grassy layer and discovered right under the sod, about 2 inches down, is some nasty weed block fabric that someone had put down, and over time weeds grew on it, stuff degraded, and so it's something not quite this, but something similar to that underneath. It's underneath here, but not the other side. So these roots were able to reach through the decaying weed layer that we covered up, break through and get down to actual soil. These are just probably trying to grow right under the surface, 2 inches down, on old weeds that was like this. Weeds and roots. So I haven't figured out what to do yet. I thought about trying to poke some holes. Do I just start over? But we have decided we're going to remove these hoops and remove that fabric because it's just going to cause problems over time. If we keep layering on top of it, we'll make a nice layer of, compost and stuff. It'll still only be eventually like 6 inches deep. So that was kind of an annoyance because that's really hard to get that off of there. Oh, I can show you the pieces of the sod that we had taken out of there. So yeah, when we dug those holes, this is what was growing on top of the fabric. So that is why even in landscaping, I never put fabric down and then mulch, because the mulch breaks down, makes nice compost, but the roots can't get through, and the worms can't get the compost down to the roots of your plants. It's just blocked by the barrier, so I never put weed block down. I put cardboard or newspapers or something down if you want to block weeds the first year, landscaping or gardening. So I have a, like I said, late start on tomatoes and peppers, but I had them. I finally got a chance to plant them. I thought, why not? I had showed this when we first put this cardboard down, so it looks pretty nasty, and wherever there was holes, some grass grew through, but it did a great job of blocking out the weeds. Then I finally decided, okay, I have time for this. I punched some holes through the cardboard, put a mound of compost down, and planted, this is winter squash. If you look at your harvest time, it usually says like 60 days, 45 days, 75 days to harvest. These were 60 days, so I thought they were like a smaller acorn squash. I'm like, I'm gonna try it. It's the beginning of July, August, September. Yeah, it should be done by mid-September, harvesting, so I thought I'd try it. And then these are some heirloom muskmelons. I planted about 10 seeds on each mound because they were very old seeds, like 7-year-old seeds, I think. But I wanted to try to, you know, start saving these seeds since they're an heirloom and start growing them. So this one did the best. Oh, I see another one poking up. So I got 8 coming out of that one. So 8 out of 10, 4 out of 10, 3 out of 10. So I'm glad. I'll probably get something. I hoped these were like 55-day melons, I think. It was called Hales, H-A-L-E''S melon. Here's my sweet potatoes. They take a long time, so I don't know what size crop I'll get. I think, you know, they take all summer, and I didn't start them too late, but, I mean, I started them too late, but we'll see what we get. And you can eat the leaves. A lot of people in Asia harvest the leaves of everything because they know that's a lot more nutritious than the roots or the fruits. So, sweet potato, not the ornamental vine, I don't know about that, but this is the edible sweet potato. I got these from Lowe's. I didn't have time to make my own slips or anything. I'll try that some other year when I can't find them already growing, but you can eat the leaves. So I'm going to put some in my smoothies. You could stir fry them, boil them in a salad. This is where, well, you see I have some potatoes left over there, but the potatoes got a blight and died out early. I got some mini little red northern potatoes and onions I pulled. So I started beans and kohlrabi and carrots and stuff. I see one bean coming up. We got that rain, that should help. Oh, we got to get this hose off of there because I see some beans coming up. So this is the first time I've ever been able to put a summer crop or summer seeding for a fall crop, so that's new to me. I never seem to have time. Here is that experiment I showed you, putting down the mesh. I can't remember the name right now, but it's made for gardening, and the cabbage did a fine job pushing it up. So here's cabbage that is under the mesh, not looking too bad. A few holes. I'm sure some insects are getting in there. There's some kohlrabi that's growing, purple kohlrabi. The rain gets through. I haven't had to water. Here's a couple bigger cabbages. Looking pretty good. A few holes in the leaves. Lettuce was under there. It bolted. But that was a Paris Island romaine. It was really good, and it took a while to bolt, so I'm going to grow that again. Here is the experiment where the cabbages were not underneath the mesh. And you can see a lot more damage. So I'm going to make a better system and line these out so that when I do this next year, I can put more underneath the mesh or buy some more, because that worked really well. But some of my spring crops got taken by the thistles. My husband Dan, he did the second round of thistle pulling. But as you can see, it's persistent. They keep coming back from the roots. If you don't spray them with a herbicide, we're just going to keep pulling them. I might spray some with some vinegar, see if that slows them down. But it's a lot better than that grassy sod stuff. The compost and the grass. This was just compost. I mounded up in the middle. And then I had a whole bunch of long grass clippings because this place was not mown for a whole year. So it was like hay between the rows, and it really choked out most of the plants and weeds. This side, not so much. It's that quack grass or whatever that grows with the white little roots underneath, and it's been a problem. So we're gonna redo this bed, I think, next year. I planted a few things in here, but we have to see how far that weed block fabric goes. I'm not sure. So once we get that all taken out, we'll redo this side. We left some grassland out here because we just want to mow everything, and I wanted to see what wildflowers or perennial or native flowers might come up. We got some, a little bit of goldenrod. I don't want too much of that, it'll take over, but we mowed these nice paths so that we can go on trails and the dogs can walk. There's Lucy. Hi, Lucy! She's on a mission. She's scouting out rabbits. But this is kind of pretty where we have these walkways. Dan uses them for running trails to practice for his runs that he does that are trail runs. But it makes nice little areas to walk. But I also wanted to show you our blackberry patch. So the blackberry patch is pretty wild. I've been trying to harvest every couple days to beat the birds from getting them. Where I can't reach in the middle, I'm like, okay, that's left for the birds. You guys have that. But it's quite the bramble mess. There's some weed trees growing in here, but I didn't have time to get it tidied up. So this fall we will work on trying to make it into somewhat rows, or at least so that I can reach some of the areas. I wanted to say that if you haven't grown blackberries before, the blackberries grow on the second year of growth. So see all these out here? They do not have any berries. These are either from seeds that grown up or the canes bent down and rooted. These do not have any berries. So typically once it gets mature enough, I mean, it's not going to get berries when it's a tiny little plant, but once it gets mature enough to produce berries, once a cane produces berries, then that cane is done. It will die or it won't produce anymore. So you cut those out. Whatever is greenery and mature enough this year, next year it will produce the berries. So you can't just chop all this down every year and expect berries. You gotta do some management. So you can tell which ones had the berries. Like this is from last year. Ow, sorry, he got me. Ugh. This is from last year. You can see the dried up dead berries on it. So that one didn't grow this year. This one, I don't know what happened. My dog's been down in there, but the cane has died, but there's still berries on it. But that's what you look for. You can tell because you can see little weird clusters. You can tell that was last year's canes. And you cut those out and then cut those down, and then the ones that are just greenery right now, that's what will get your berries next year. I think I just rattled on for a little too long, but I'm gonna harvest now because I see some blackberries. But I will tell you what, it is so tempting to pluck them off the bush and eat them. But I will tell you, I got bit at my mom's house. She has the thornless kind, and the ones that are like as big as your thumb, they're a lot bigger. But okay, so I look very carefully because on hers I got bit by an ant that I couldn't see, a black ant crawling on there. And I learned my lesson, so I look really carefully, look for any ants before I just pluck it off and eat it. well, these look so good. I was looking really carefully, was eating some, and then all of a sudden I felt a bite on my tongue, back of my tongue. I'm like, oh, shoot. So I'm, trying to look. I felt like something was in my throat, and I kept looking, kept feeling like a popcorn thing, but I had Dan look. He couldn't see anything in there. So then I wondered, okay, maybe it's just the bite feeling like it's swollen or something. So then I still kept feeling it. Finally, mid-morning, felt like a popcorn thing in my throat. I kind of, gagged yourself, how you get the popcorn thing out. And it was one of those stupid black beetle type bugs, small, like a popcorn thing, in my throat. Then I was feeling really sick to my stomach that I had ate this bug. So now I'm like, I don't get tempted. So what I do is I put the berries in a bowl, fill it with water, swirl them around, all of the insects and debris float to the top and the berries sink. So then if you keep the water running, it overflows the bowl like a waterfall, and all that stuff, the bugs and debris, float off down the drain. Then I've been rinsing them again with water with a couple blurbs of vinegar in it to help preserve them a little longer. Because I had some that I was saving for a friend. Well, they turned into wine. It tasted like they fermented a little bit. So just be aware, and be aware of bugs on the fruit. Oh, what I was showing you a little earlier is where we had to clear out some brush pile that was there, and I put some compost down, and I'm going to try for watermelons. But we'll see. They're little baby ones. Well, anyway, still a lot to do out here, but we wanted to start some production and get things going. I'll try to do videos more often when I have some things come up, but I just wanted to keep you guys updated, and have a beautiful day, and enjoy yourselves in nature.